Hello everyone, this is Dion Soul. I hope everyone is doing well. And as you see before you, we are looking at NeoFly's website. Why we are here is because it's been some time since I've done an update on NeoFly, and I thought, hey, somebody might be interested in NeoFly and they want to get a little bit of a semi-tutorial or an in-depth look at it, so they would have that decide if they want to get involved with it or if they decide they want to buy the perks and yada yada yada. This video is not sponsored by a NeoLord. I'm just doing this totally pro bono on my own. But if you think that this content is worthy, I do have some donation links in the description down below for me personally. Any support that I can get for the channels that I upload this content on is most appreciated. You will see this over on my Odyssey channel, my Rumble channel, BitChute, and of course YouTube. So all those platforms are there for trying to get the widest audience possible, because the product is a good product, and of course I do my videos on all the rest of them as well. So anyway, so NeoFly has had several updates. We are now at, when you go over here to the download section, we're up here at version 2.13.2, and I think the last time I did an update, I don't remember, but without going back and looking on it, but I've been using NeoFly off and on along with FS Economy. I've been using that off and on ever since version 1.0, 1.1 or something, 1.01 or something like. I mean, it's been a long time, and because I've been using it off and on for a long time, I decided to give NeoLord some of my hard-earned money and out of my pocket, and that's where the perks parts come in. You don't have to donate at all. It's totally do what you want. For me, it's just my conscience. It's just kind of person I am. I decided to donate to him, and I went ahead and splurged for the whole $13 US, and getting, I believe it's US dollars it was. I think I used my PayPal account, which you can PayPal me if you feel this content is worthy. My PayPal account, and I got the $13. I bought both the events and the FBO, or you can do them a la carte with the prices as shown here in the here on the website. For me personally, just a quick little synopsis. The events thing between both of them, for me personally, it's a personal thing for me. The events thing is awesome. I really like it, and I'll go in more in depth and in detail about that as this video progresses. This video will be a lengthy video, but I'm going to have timestamps scattered throughout the video that you can just hopscotch around at your will, because I know some of this stuff is boring. I get it. I get bored too, so I'm totally conscious of that. But anyway, events is awesome. Events is really cool. If that's all you want to spend your money on, then get the $5. In my opinion, get the $5. Unless, of course, you just want to be a micromanager and you just want to micromanage people and things, then of course get the FBO. Me personally, I'm not a macromanager. I would rather I would rather just go fly and just go have fun from place to place, go to places I've never been to before. That's what NeoFly offers. It offers opportunities to go to places you've never been to before, which is really cool. So that's NeoFly's here website in a nutshell. Those are really, and then of course you got the news. News tells you about the latest events, what's going on. Usually the news is a little bit behind the download, because here you got 1.13.1, whereas the download's 1.2, but it's not that big of a deal. You could just, you just have this as reference. It's not that big of a deal. The latest patch notes and everything is always on the download when you download it. Talking a little bit about the download, the installer part of it, we'll go into that a little bit. You have a folder and you have an installer. I always pick the installer, and there's no reason other than that's just what's easy for me. I just like doing that. And then once I download the installer, I just double click wherever you download it at. I'm going in with this video assuming that you already know how to use your computer and that you're familiar with directories and directories and how to migrate around your hard drive on your computer via Windows Explorer, or I'm sorry, Windows, it's Explorer, isn't it? Windows Explorer? Yeah, Windows Explorer, and that sort of thing. Of course, my Brave thing is kicking up, saying "Go over here." So with that assumption, I'm assuming you already know how to get around your computer and you already know to use it. So that's why I'm not going in too micro into that. So I just download the installer, install it to the directory I want it to go, and then I just double click on it. It brings up my WinRNR. WinRNR is or your Zip7 or whatever expansion utility choice you want to use. You open it, and then I just take the contents inside this folder that it opens up to, and I just left click and drag, and I just drag it into a folder that I created, in this case on my desktop, which you can see it right over here, and there's one R&R right there. But anyway, drag and drop it in right there, and then then I it usually just cut or copies and pastes into this existing folder. If you're coming from a previous install, then it would just copy only the files that are necessary. Usually that runs between 5 to 8 files is what the pattern has been at this point, is what's been the common theme. It has been 5 to 8 files that it changes when you just do left click, drag, copy, drop scenario. Is usually what happens. Now, if you're starting out fresh and you do the same pattern, I mean, you could use the folder thing, I guess. I don't know. I've never played with the folder thing, so I'm not going to expand upon that because I haven't messed with it. But if you, I would create a NeoFly on my desktop or wherever directory you want to go to, and then just copy all the contents in there, and then you're ready to rock and roll. You create a shortcut on your desktop like I have right here, which is right there. There is my shortcut to my desktop. I do not run it as administrator. I don't know if it makes any difference not running it as an administrator or not. I don't do it, so all is good. So, but there it is right there. You double click on it. So without further ado, I might as well show you how to create a NeoFly pilot. So what you do is you go over here and create your call sign. In my case, I'll just go Dion Sol because I've already got Sierra Flyer occupied. And then we'll go ahead and put our starting place. And let's go ahead and type in KBIH. In my case, that's going to be over in Bishop, California, because I'm Sierra Flyer. So we'll start right there, and then you got your choice of what airplanes you want to start with. We'll start with the Cessna 172 because that's the airplane I like, and that's the airplane that I fly. This time around, we're going to start with sandbox. You got two options. Sandbox mode gives you a bunch of money, and a whole lot of restrictions are lifted. So it's pretty much just go in, do whatever you want, have fun. There is no consequences other than crashing your airplane, things like that. I mean, it's just a sandbox. Then we go ahead. If you had that unchecked, like my normal Sierra Flyer, that means you got to grind and work your way up in the career. So right here we'll hit sandbox mode, and then we'll go ahead and create pilot. Now the pilot is added. So now I'll come over here to Dion Sol, and then I'll go ahead and load it up. So now what we'll do is we'll load that Dion Sol up as my finger's itching for some reason. Does that mean I'm going to get a bunch of money? Maybe I'm going to get a bunch of money because my finger's itching. Usually it's the palm of your hand is itching, you get a bunch of money. That's the old saying. Now we're waiting for it to load up here. It's got to generate the new field. And it's doing that right now. So while it's waiting for it, we can go ahead and look at our airplane from our previous mission that we just did. And there it is. So now it's loaded up here, and then we come over here, and so now we're at KBIH. Our airplanes, everybody's over at KBIH, and here's all the jobs. And now we're ready to rock and roll. Now let's see how much money we got. We got $1 million. Okay. So we got $1 million to play with. And then you can go about your business and do basically like normal. It's just that you start out with a higher money count is what it looks like. I never play with this. So, and you put in your tail number and do all the stuff that I showed you during the course of this video. And that's pretty much it. So that is how you start your career and start with an airplane from scratch. In this case, well, with $1 million in the bank. I started with only $10,000 in the bank and worked my way up, is what I did. But that's it. That's all I wanted to add. So here we are in the application. So what's going on here with the application is I went ahead and just tabbed right on over to the, I'll go ahead and tab on over here to the news/about tab all the way to the right, as you see. And the reason why I'm here first is I want to talk about if you need any kind of help or any suggestions or whatever. There is 2 forms to make that happen, and that is Discord right here, which you saw a lot of promotion of Discord over on that video, or on the over on the website that you saw beforehand previously. I personally don't use Discord. I don't agree with Discord. Discord's got issues that I personally have issues with, and so I no longer use Discord. I use Gilded. So this option for me personally is out, and if you want to talk to me about it, you can always go over on Gilded and or email me or text in the description down below if you really want to know why I don't use Discord anymore. Enough of that. And then another option is contact is by email, and that's what this is. As soon as you click on this, it will probably bring up your email program of choice for you to contact NeoLord via email. If you go to the website, there's probably an option for the website. To be honest with you, we glossed over it. I didn't get a chance to look and see if they had an option if you have a question, comment, suggestion, or a problem. It might be available over on the on NeoFly.net's website as well. I just glossed over it. I didn't see it. But anyway, so those are the 3 options for contacting NeoLord if you have comments, suggestions, questions, or help. Over here, I'm going to go ahead and just start off right here because we just got done talking about this is where you would, if you download the application without going through the process discussed earlier via the website, you can download and install the events, and right off the bat we'll get the payware stuff out of the way. When you pay for both or a la carte one or the other, if you get the FBO, you'll get a email after you do your purchase, and you'll get a registration key. You would put the registration key in here, blah blah blah, and then you hit register, and then it'll create that text. A text that goes over into a pro tip that I should discuss with you right now. Okay, pro tip, referring to the other thing that you just saw, and that is over here on the C drive. If you go over to your application data, in my case it's the C drive. If you have it installed somewhere else, your Windows installed somewhere else, it would be whatever drive that it is. But in my case it's in the C drive, and if you go to program data, and if you scroll down to program data, you're going to see a file called a folder called NeoFly. NeoFly is where it would put your FBO your FBO registration key, and when you pay for the install events thing right here, when you pay for this, you'll get a zip file that you'll have to put in, or that you'll run, and you'll run the install, and then it'll pop up saying, okay, where's this events zip that you got from from your email or your email link, where is it at in your directory. Then you would install it, and then what it will install is it'll install the events, which this right here is just a bunch of sound files, and that it will put in right there, and it will unlock behind the scenes, probably in this database. It'll unlock your events thing. And I'm assuming, I don't know that, I'm not a computer wizard when it comes to programming. That's not my forte. But that's where that is. Your Bing key, we'll discuss that in a bit, and your FBO key will go, but that's where this is. And the reason why I'm bringing this all up in the first place, because I personally highly recommend you backing up this NeoFly directory that the installer installs, that's in the program data directory. If you choose to do the what we said before, in the previous earlier in this video, if you download the installer, this will set up all this stuff for you, and it installs this NeoFly folder that's in the program data on in my case, in the C drive. Back that up. So then that way, if you have a hard drive problem, any kind of problem at all, you've got this backed up. So all your progress, I believe, all your progress is stored here in NeoFly. So if you have a progress problem, then you got this as a backup. And you just back this folder up, zip it, do whatever you want with it. You have a backup, or at least you have a save point that you can go back to if you have a catastrophe. So that's what this is all about. All this ties into this here. Like I said, once you pay for this, download this, install the events, and if you paid for this, install this, put the registration key, puts that text file in, you're good to go. Then your pay for stuff is done. Again, I recommend at least the events, because the events are truly awesome. It gives you that sense of accomplishment. It gives you that sense of something that you need to do. It gives you incentives to come back to NeoFly over and over again, because it gives you random options for you to go do things and to make your flight simulation experience worth your time. And that's what this whole thing is about. It's all about making your flight aviation experience worth your time. And so I highly recommend the events. The FBOs, if you want to micromanage, that's available to you, and that sort of thing. So those are those two things on the payware side of things. I kind of pretty much done with that. Recommend it. Give the guy some bones, especially if you used it for a long time like I have. I just thought it was the right thing to do to show my appreciation for the product, because I've been using it. Give him some money. Give him some love, And to kind of reiterate as earlier, if you feel my content is worthy, show me the appreciation and the love. I do have some donation links in the description down below of this video. If you feel my content is worthy to you, is most appreciated. So we'll start off here with the Bing key. The Bing key is something that unless it's been changed that I'm not aware of, maybe Neo Lord can comment in the section down below and tell me that, Dion, you're full of crap, or no, you're right on target, or we've changed it, whatever, But from my understanding, based on what I know, the Bing key, when you download this program, you get use of this for a little while, like 5 or 10 or maybe 20 views, and then after that it just goes poof. It stops. Now, it used to stop the whole program, then the program became no longer functional. Has been my personal experience. Now, they may have patched that and changed that, but and there's just only that this thing just doesn't work anymore. I don't know. But I went through the effort and went to where you get the instructions on how to get your Bing key is in the user guide that when you download NeoFly, either installer or the folder, I believe the guide is going to be you're going to download with it, and you just open it up. It's a PDF. You open it up, scroll down to where it talks about the Bing key, go through the instructions, go through the process. Microsoft website will further help you getting your Bing key set up via text. And then once you get it all set, you get your Bing key, you get registered with Microsoft, you get it in there. Now, some people balk on being registered with Microsoft, or they're Microsoft haters. Everybody's a hater of Microsoft, so there's nothing new there. But Microsoft's got my number, so whatever. They probably got me on speed dial if they really wanted to get a hold of me. And or take everything away. That's Microsoft. That's just the way it is if you're a Windows user. So so you get your Bing key. You put it in here, and then you save it, and then it creates that file that we saw on the previous screen right here, where it creates this Bing text, and that's what this is right here. Is once you save it here, it creates that text. And let's see, before I jump into that, let's go ahead and just do it. Aircraft. Aircraft before, aircraft was a royal pain in the ass to be able to put your third-party aircraft or your add-on aircraft into NeoFly. It was just a royal pain in the ass. It had to work with databases. You had to have a database reader writer, if I remember correctly, an SQL database reader writer, and it was just, I just didn't like it. I'm not a programming guy. I'm a simple guy, and I just didn't want to deal with that. So thank God that NeoLord decided to put it into the product itself. So now you just go into your Microsoft Flight Simulator, and if I mouse over here, it should pop up. There it is, and you just do what the instructions say. Whatever the name says of your third-party airplane, you put that information in here in the name. So and this tells NeoFly that, hey, this name is what I'm going to look. When I'm talking to Microsoft Flight Simulator, this is what the users got loaded up. I'm going to take whatever this data is, and then whatever this data is, this string goes right along with this name. That's how it works, from my understanding. And of course, you would put in what kind, if it's a prop or a turboprop or jet or airliner, how many engines you have, 1 through 4, whatever your third party is, and now the classifications of the airplane. If it's a single piston engine airplane, it's going to be an A. Piston twin engine airplane, normally aspirated or turbocharged engine, it's going to be in B. C is going to be a single turboprop. D is going to be a twin turboprop. E is going to be a commercial jet like the CJ 4 or the Longitude or whatever. That's going to be that class, and then the last class is going to be a jetliner, an airliner, that kind of thing. I think that's the classifications of it, and we'll get more into that in the classifications in another tab up here. And then the range is your maximum range of your aircraft. You can get that information from when you load up Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's going to your third-party airplane should have the range. It should have the payload. Usually I get the payload, the maximum payload weight that would actually, if you load the airplane, your third-party airplane up, and you're sitting in the cockpit, and if you go over to the payload and fuel loadout thing in Microsoft Flight Simulator, you can just write it down, and then or if you have multiple screen operation like I do, you just Alt Tab or whatever out of Microsoft into NeoFly, and then put that the total payload weight, the total passenger count. And how I do the passenger count for third-party airplane, I just count how many seats are in there. I just use my right mouse button. I just scroll right on over, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there's 5 passengers here. I put the 5 passengers in right there, and not include myself. If it's a 6-passenger aircraft, the 1 passenger is you, the pilot. Then the other 5 are your passengers. That's how I calculate the passenger count. The cruise speed is also going to be in the data card in Microsoft Flight Simulator. When you're clicking on the airplane that you want to fly, it usually will have the cruise speed in there for you already, or right there. So you just jot that down on a piece of paper or whatever, and then you just add it or Alt Tab out and put it in right there. Now your fuel loadout, again, back into the loadout category. When you're actually in the sim, you would see what the total amount of fuel is, and you would put that in there, and then you just click on Add. Once you put in all the data and add, it will end up adding it into the common database, and so your added airplane is going to be added right here, I think. I'm not for sure, but I think that's where it goes, and that's why I've been saying that you want to back this program data folder up, so then all this data you entered, you don't lose. You don't lose it. So I think that's where it goes. I could be wrong in that assessment. Again, NeoLord can correct me on that. And maybe NeoLord in time will actually create some kind of a little button, a little button down here that says, hey, do you want to back up your data? Or maybe have some kind of every 5 days, hey, do you want to back up your data? Just so it would basically back up this folder. So then that way you always have a backup, and you don't have to start all over from ground zero if you had a hard drive catastrophe or whatever, that kind of thing. So that's pretty much the size of how to enter an aircraft. Awesome. I entered my turbo bonanza in there, and so now it's seeded into the market, which we'll talk about the market later and where the turbo is and whatnot. And then, alrighty, so now we'll move on here to the airports. Now, the airports thing is you want to import all of your community folder airports or airports that you buy on the marketplace that are different than the stock out of the box. Case in point, as an example, I got my eyeball. I'm waiting for it to go down as a special. In other words, let it go for a while, then eventually I'll pick it up because I fly there often enough to justify it. And that is on the Microsoft Marketplace, there is a Las Vegas and area scenery pack. And what happens is that NeoFly, the out-of-the-box version, is not going to have that expansion pack embedded into here already. So this download nav data reader, what this allows you to do is take third-party scenery packs and be able to import them into NeoFly, so when you fly there, you've got all the right elevation data and nav data of the airports and ILS approaches and blah, blah, blah. You got all that information in sync with the NeoFly database. Now, in order to get to make this airport thing work, what you do is you download it first, and it's automatically going to put you up over here to GitHub. And so here's GitHub. Here's a Linux version for for X-Plane, which is not even in our scope here. And then but the one you want right here is Nav Reader Win, which is obviously for Windows. So you download that, install that into your downloads directory or wherever you want to put it, and then when you expand it, you're going to expand it into a NeoFly, the directory you created for NeoFly itself. If you install it into its own directory that's outside of NeoFly, I have not personally been able to get it to work. When I put it into NeoFly itself, it works, and it works just fine. There's probably some documentation somewhere telling you to do that, and I just never read it. I just, I did it. I learned by trial and error. That's how I learned, and by trial and error, I figured out, oh, I got to put this, this directory thing, actually that I created into into NeoFly itself directory, and then once I did that, everything was peachy keen, happy-go-lucky. So once you do that, and once you have it set up here into NeoFly, and of course you can always speed back and read what I said, or watch what I said again, then you launch the database reader. We're not going to do it because it's time consuming. You load it, and then what it does is it goes into your community folder and your official folder, and it's going to search every data related to your scenery. I'm just going to say scenery, airport/scenery. And it's going to take all that data, and then once it's done, it's going to create its own little folder, its own little file, and then you click, once it's all done, what it will do is it'll go through the process. It takes anywhere, or for me on my potato computer, it took me probably about 5 to 8 minutes to do, and maybe 5 minutes. Maybe it wasn't forever, but it did take some time. And then once it's done, the script will do its thing, and it'll be a black screen that comes up with a bunch of text just scrolling like crazy, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And then when it gets to the end, it just goes boop, done. I wish the developer of the nav reader say, "Okay, I'm done." And then you click on it, so that way you have an acknowledgement as the end user that it's done. But it doesn't do that. The window just goes blank. So you have to have that assumption that it did something, just the way it is. So what you do is, after it's done, you have to assume that it did something. And then when it's done, then you hit Update NeoFly. And because we now have the original the file or the folder of Nav Data Reader in the same directory, it will update. And once it updates, it's actually, when you click on this NeoFly update, what it's going to do is it's actually going to take that data, and then it's going to go back over here to program data and back to the NeoFly that we talked about earlier, and it's going to create this file right here. I'm assuming that's what this is. I mean, common sense dictates that's what this is. So it's going to create this file. And once it creates this file, now NeoFly is in sync with whatever third-party apps and stuff that Microsoft, because even Microsoft will update their nav data. Case in point, they just, as of this recording, they just gave us the update for UK. So this actually, in my personal opinion, is probably a must to have this other little utility. So then that way, because now that UK has been updated and then Japan was updated, and then US was updated with all the elevation data and nav data, you're going to want to do this. You're going to want to have this airport updater and then go through the steps that I said previously in the video. So this right here has become important. It has become important. It facilitates a way to be able to keep NeoFly synced up with what is in Microsoft Flight Simulator, across the board. So that's pretty much the size of the airport thing. Lastly, on this tab right here that we can talk about, I guess, is down here with the sim settings. You saw what I did there. It says sim settings and not game settings. I kind of have a resentment to people calling our flight simulation products games. I hate it when they call them games. So you'll see me. I'll still say game every now and then as a slip up, as a mistake on my part. But this really should be sim settings, or application settings or something like that. I hate it when it says game settings. Same with this game text. But anyway. That's just and I'm sorry for my rant. Apologize for my rant. But anyway, the dark mode is exactly what it does. What you see before you is what it does. It just makes everything dark. Fine for when you're in night, when you're sitting here in front of your computer. My wife's sleeping over here, which you don't see because of the bed, and I'm just sitting here flying away at nighttime, and I have all my 3 screens going here, so I'm getting all this light in my face. And so the dark mode's kind of convenient. So you can turn it down so it's not as bright. And also when you're flying at night in Microsoft Flight Simulator, you don't want a whole lot of light anyway, because you want to be able to see the simulator. So the dark mode is good. Dark mode, no problem. I use it once in a while on occasion. During daylight, obviously, I don't. I like to be whatever I can do to see the text better. I'm an old son of a bitch, and because I'm old, I got to make these things make these texts where I can be able to see them. The older I get, the harder it is to see. So when you're a young whippersnapper like yourself, you're going to get that someday. So in-game text. In-game text is what it says it does. You turn this on, and then instead of the lady sitting there giving you verbal, audible things saying, hey, go to XYZ, it's going to say loading cargo. It'll give you some text that says loading cargo. It's going to blast it on the screen. I don't use it. I'd rather have the audible text than having visual or audible enunciators instead of contextual enunciators. So you can either have it on or off. I have it off, but there may be some situations where you want to have it on, so I'm glad that it is there. The event probability. It says enter 3 for 1, of course now it just went away, 1 chance out of 3, 10 for 1 chance out of 10, and etc. So I think I said that backwards. So I'm assuming you're going to get 3 chances, or 1 chance out of 3. So what's the 66% chance? Is that right? So that's a 66% chance that you're going to get an event probability. In other words, you're flying along, and because I paid for the events thing, this is the pay part. I'm coming at that from a pay part perspective. But I'm flying along, doing my job, going from point A to point B, and then she comes on and says, hey, the customer wants the product faster. They've got a truck sitting over here at this airport, so we want you to divert to this airport instead. And if you do that, we're going to give you some extra money, so you're going to get a little bit more bank. And so you would go into your aviation flight software, and then you would put in the new if you're autopiloting. If you're a Magenta pilot, you just change it and then go to the other airport, or if you're flying by hand, you just fly over to the other airport. Which again, that's when it's handy to have this. When you have this this Bing map, so then you know where you're going, and that sort of thing. And so that's what that's for. Probability, change the probability. The fuel. Jumping onto this fuel stuff, fuel for GA, which is basically it's LL 100, 100 LL fuel, aviation fuel, and then of course you got your jet fuel A, your jet fuel. You can change these whatever you want. You can change them whatever you want. Let's say that you want to have it be as real as possible, and you're about ready to buy some fuel. So what you would do is you go to SkyVector, you look up the fuel price at SkyVector, that's reported in SkyVector, and if you're in a jet, you'd put in whatever the latest price is. Let's say that's $5.20 a gallon. You would put in 4.2. It's not. I don't think it goes to 2 decimal points. I think it only goes just to 1 decimal point. I don't think you can go. Let's try it real quick. Let's say we go 5.25. It might do it. So let's say the fuel price is 5.25. Obviously, it's not going to go it's not going to go. Here in the States, 5.259. I don't know if it's actually going to do that. No, it doesn't look like it's accepting it. So if I go to 5, and then I click on it, I don't know. I don't think so. So anyway, I got it at 4.1 because fuel price is actually cheaper. Jet fuel is actually cheaper than aviation fuel. Has been my experience. So you put in your aviation price, your fuel per gallon in there. So what it does a mathematical calculation with that based on your based on how much your total fuel capacity is of your aircraft, and it tells you, it basically makes it so it calculates the fuel, the fuel consumed and all kinds of other stuff. So that kind of thing. So that's pretty much the size of that. While we're over here, we might as well talk a little bit about what this is. This is static across all of the tabs. But over here, if you click on an airport right here, this wasn't around back in the day. Or if I click on over here in Portland, or whatever that is, let's go to a major airport here. Let's go to something. Let's go to something special here. Where are we at? We're in Lake Tahoe. Let's go to Lake Tahoe. Okay, Lake Tahoe doesn't have any jobs. So we'll go, okay, fine. We'll go over here to this one right here, KNFL. So there's KNFL. So KNFL, you click on KNFL, it gives you kind of a data of KFL. It tells you what the altitude is, the maximum runway length, hard surface. It's got 3 hard surfaces. Tells you about the airport, what the name is, and how much it costs a week, per week, if you decide to put an FBO there. So in this case, $50,000 a week. I don't do enough flights to be able to justify that cost, so that ain't going to happen. I'm not going to put an FBO there. F that. So that's and this just has, and it tells only, now it only gives you jobs, only, and I'll talk more about that in a minute because that reflects over here on missions, which we're going to get to here in a second. So that's pretty much the size of the settings menu. So as you can tell, this is going to be a lengthy video, just going over all this stuff, and that's okay. That's why I've got the jump cuts or jump plates in the video description down below. So without further ado, let's move on over, and we can go ahead and we'll kind of go like this. So in other words, we're going to go over here to finances, and we'll go do the small things that don't really have a huge impact. It's just data displaying, and the other ones will be a little bit more in depth. So we'll go over here to finances real quick. Mr. Finance, as you can tell, is how much what your status is. This right here, this balance actually here is a balance / ledger. This just tells you how much coin you got, and that sort of thing. And this tells you what your inflows and your outflows are. Pretty simple stuff. I've done some things, and you can tell that I got a few things here and there. I'm paying for an FBO dispatcher. I don't know why I am, so I need to figure out why and fix that. So that's a problem that I need to work out, that you guys, a little bit more in the weeds stuff that I got to figure out. But anyway, it's just inflows and outflows of how much things cost, and when you move things around, what things cost. You'd have your how much you're paying your employees, your staff, and whatever we'll get into later. So this is your inflows and outflows, and then here is your loans. So and you can also, that's another thing, is that in all of these menus you can actually sort ascending order and descending order on on all the various columns, which is really cool. And you can expand the columns, make the columns bigger, smaller, and whatever. So the advantage to the loan scenario is, let's say that, okay, I started NeoFly, I'm starting out fresh, I want to get right into the CJ4 because I want to fly the CJ4. I don't care about all the other airplanes, I want to fly my CJ4. Okay, so in order for you to do that, you need money, because you're going to start out in a Cessna 172, you're going to start out in a Cessna 152, or you're going to start out in the which I did not go over because we're not starting a new, because I'm already active, or you're going to start out in that screen, you're going to start out in that Bush pilot airplane, I'm having a brain fart, what you call it. But anyway, you start out in that Bush plane. I'm sure somebody's going to correct me in the description down below. Dion, you dummy, it was this one. It's like, okay, fine, whatever. But I want to start out in the CJ4. So you look over here and you see, well, how much money, the CJ4 is going to cost you anywhere between $3 to $4 million. So in this case, you can go either one of these two. What you would do is you would just right click on this and just execute loan, and then boom, you've got $4 million in the bank and you're ready to go buy your CJ4. That's all there is to it. You're done. Now, but the problem is now if you got this if you got the $4 million one, you've got an interest rate of 5%, which is actually pretty good. Instead of the 11% or the 12%. But the downside is now you got to pay that $4.2 million back. So now you got to fly your ass off in order for you to pay that back. And I say fly your ass off because if you can pay, you buy that airplane for all that big money and you're starting out with your big bad airplane, now you put yourself at a disadvantage, because now you got to fly your ass off and do a bunch of flights for the next real-time month. So let's say you get it on the today, which is the 21st of February. You've got the 20th of March, I think is how it works out. In order for you, in that gap right there, you got to do all those flights in that gap in order for you, between the dates, in order for you to pay that loan off before you get nailed with the 5%. If you don't care about the 5%, then you don't have to do anything. You just go fly at your leisure, but you're going to be nailed 5% until that loan is paid. So that is something to keep in mind if you want to start off with your big bad airplane at your in-sim or in-game / in-sim aircraft, which would be, all the jets, basically, basically all the jets, especially the 787, the 747, and the Airbus A320. I don't like doing it that way. I like starting out small in my Cessna 172 or my Bush plane and then just grind my ass off. I don't really like the grind, but the events thing helps you offset the tediousness of the grind. Things like the events and the FBO and whatever, those things take your mind away from the grinding you have to do when you're trying to make money, because that's what you are. You are grinding. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're grinding. This is a grinding simulator, or NeoFly is a grinding simulator, just like FS Economy is, just like any other economy module. It's a grind. That's what it's all about. It's about grinding. So having these other things to do with FBO and the events thing during your grind, that makes it not feel like it's a grind. And so that's why I'm so high on the events thing, is it just makes it so the grind is not so bad. It makes it in some cases it makes it fun. So Anyway, so that's what you would do is if you wanted to get your big bad airplane out of the box, you go out and get a loan, and you can spam these loans too. You can spam these things until you're blue in the face to get the dollar value you want. See, here's one for $60 million. I spam that, what, 5-6 times now? And so now I got $61 million. That might be enough for me to get into the Neo Airbus Neo, and if you can, then there you go. And then you got your 11% interest rate that you have to deal with. Now you got to fly like your ass off to be able to make sure you don't get nailed with that 11%. Unless, of course, you don't care about that, then you just do what you want to do. Bottom line. But that's how you just spam it until you get the loan you want. And there you go. And like I said, ascending, descending order, it doesn't matter. Interest rate, high, low, doesn't matter. That's the advantage of all these columns here. That's a nice little added feature that NeoLord has done over time. It really makes things nice. Logs basically it's just how many jobs you've done up to this point. And as you can see, I had a nice little thing. I'm gonna show the advantage of the events thing that I was talking to you about, and which is the last job I just did. What I did here is I was called to go fly from L71, which is California City, to KRTS, which is having a brain fart. Reno Stead. Let me say that correctly. Reno Stead was what the intent was to fly there. I was going to get $36,000 carrying 5 passengers. 285 miles, everything was happy-go-lucky. I was cool. But because of the, matter of fact, there is the view of the actual flight because I use SkyVector and I put in my own flight plan into Microsoft Flight Simulator. It always goes a direct route, and so in the real world, nothing is direct. You always have to go other ways other than direct, usually, unless it's a really short flight. So this is my flight path. And you can see where I actually, because of how the actual flight was, I actually got redirected to go to KAHC. And KHC is actually a, well, as you can see right there, well, it's hard to see, but it is a Army depot. NeoFly told me, hey, as I was in flight, because of the events thing that I paid for, it said, hey, we think you're carrying suspicious cargo. Now I'm paraphrasing now, probably making it more dramatic than what it really was, but I'm paraphrasing that, hey, you're carrying suspicious cargo, and we need you to fly to this airport instead. Now, if you do that, you're going to get extra money, but if you don't, you can still fly to your destination. You just won't get as much money, or there will be other consequences for you not doing what we ask you to do. So what I did is I did what they said, and I went ahead and flew to and this particular flight right here I'm talking about is depicted on my previous video. Go check it out. It was kind of funny. I enjoyed it. And this is what made the events thing awesome. So once I got there, I had to go through the process, and I got paid. And when I got paid, instead of me being $36,000 like you saw, I got paid $73,000 instead, because I took advantage of the alternate that the special events gave me. Now, to be clear, somebody's going to say, well, Dion, this events thing makes it so now you just gave NeoLord some money, and so now you're pay to win. And all I can really say is, yeah, that is kind of a form of pay to win. But I'm cool with it, is because this is not a multiplayer setup. This is not where I am getting an advantage over somebody else. This is not a multiplayer thing. Now, over time, when NeoLord is able to interface NeoFly into a multiplayer or via a web hosting application or web hosting thing, where in effect it becomes a multiplayer element, kind of like FS Economy, then you would have to have multiple servers set up with a server that is that has events, part of it, and FBO part of it, and servers that do not. That's just the way it's going to have to be, because then you would have the argument for pay to win scenario that's going to piss off people like me that would say, well, hey, that's unfair. That guy, because he paid the money, he's got that fancy new whatever, and I don't have that because I didn't pay the money. Woe is me. So I could see that. So that's why in the future, if the pay to win issue comes up, just have different servers, and that takes that argument and just says, sorry, that argument is no longer valid because you're on a server that is an events. If you don't pay for the events and you're on an event server, that's on you as the user, not me as the developer or anybody else. You can't use that argument. So that's why if it ever comes to that, you would have to have a different server. You'd have to have a server for events and have a server that does not have events in FBO. Bottom line. So anyway, so that's what the events did for me. Is it ended up giving me, instead of $36,000 in it, giving me $73,000. So for one, that was cool, but the audio, the interaction with the events thing in itself was funny and cool, and it made that grind to get from point A to point B, it made it worth it. It made it like, oh, this is neato, I know I'm using these old neato and awesome terms because I'm an old son of a bitch. Just the way I am. All right. Well, anyway, so that's pretty much the logs. Logs, there's nothing special really to say. Show and hide airport paths. I mean, you can, just turn it on, turn it off. That's all that button does. Reset, finds a mission from this. I don't know what that does. So I don't know what that does, so I'm going to leave it alone. Oh, I don't know. So I'll leave it alone. I'm sure it's got, I don't want to, while I'm doing this video, I don't want to click it and screw everything else up. But anyway, so FBO. We'll jump on the FBO now. FBO, self-explanatory. I don't know enough about it as of this one. So this particular segment right here, sorry, I'm going to give you not a whole lot of information on it because I don't know enough about it yet to be able to formulate. Matter of fact, one thing I did know is, you see, there's my wages now. I want to fire her. Fire. Goodbye. Go away. Send. Maybe she'll go away now. She's not doing anything. Maybe there's another task I have to do. Again, that is the reason why I don't know much about this. And this is a good illustration to you, is that I don't know enough about it. So I don't want that because I don't want to deal with an FBO right now. And but you can set up an FBO and set up all kinds of stuff that I don't know anything about it, and so that's why we're not going to talk about it in this particular segment all that much. But if you want to research that, knock yourself out. That'll be something that you're going to know more than me. It's cool. I'm cool with that as long as you're cool with it. I'm cool with it. Everybody's good. If you know more than me, it's all good. Hangar. Let's jump on to the hangar. The hangar aspect of it is basically what it says. It's where your aircraft is. Now, what's cool about this is that it tells you. Let me expand this a little bit here. Tells you your cost of your airplane. I started out with a Cessna 172 Skylane G1000 that you start out with, and it's worth $400,000. Okay. Pro tip. What you can do is, let's say you want a little bit more money than the $10,000 that you start out with. You get the Cessna Skylane. You get your $400,000, and then what you do is you grind a little bit. At least this has been my personal experience. You grind a little bit to get just enough money that you would turn around with the Cessna 172 and you would buy the cheapest ass airplane you can find. It doesn't matter what little cheap airplane you get. Something that's $30,000, $40,000, whatever. Maybe 1 or 2 or 3 flights, long distance flights, whatever. You get a cheap ass airplane. Then what you do is you turn around and buy that airplane, get it in your possession. Then what you do is, wherever your Cessna Skylane is, you sell it. And then once you sell it, now you got that $400,000 or whatever the depreciation value is. I don't know if he's got depreciation value set up here. I haven't noticed. It might go down the more you fly it. The more hours you have on your airframe, and that's what this means right here. This is the airframe hours. Then the cost of the airplane goes down because it's not as valued as much. I don't know if he's got that component, formula into NeoFly yet or not. But you get your, for sake of argument, let's say he doesn't. You get your $400,000. Now you got your $400,000, and now you have the ability, without having to take out a loan, you got $400,000 to play with. Now you got this piece of crap airplane, but now you can either fly to, or you can move yourself or do whatever, which we'll talk about later in this video, to a spot where you can actually buy the airplane you want. And now that's under the $400,000 cap that you currently have in possession of. You sell your piece of crap airplane, you get a little bit more money for that, get your money, some of your money or all your money back from that, and now you got $430,000. Let's say you get the full $400,000 from there, and the full. Well, actually, no, that's wrong. You can't do it that way. Sorry, I told you wrong. You've got to buy the new airplane first, because you always have to have an airplane in the hangar to bounce between different airplanes. That's just the way it is. And so you would buy the airplane you want, then you can sell the piece of crap airplane, and now you got your own airplane, and you can do it that way. And then what you do is you would take out insurance. This insurance icon would not be available. You would right click on it, and then you would say, hey, I'd like to buy insurance. It would say, do you want to buy insurance? You say yes, and you buy insurance. It's been my experience, it's worth it to buy the insurance regardless. Just buy the insurance. And the reason why, because I have to cough, the reason why you have to buy insurance is because if you ever get in a situation where you get a crash to desktop, or you have a power outage, in the real world, or you're sitting there flying along in a Microsoft Flight Simulator, and all of a sudden you just lose everything. Or better than that scenario, let's say that you're flying along, you landed on the ground, and the ground elevation is different. I've had that scenario where the elevation that is in Microsoft Flight Simulator is different than what is you on the runway. All of a sudden you got this big, huge, steep, and then it crashes out your airplane. If you have your settings turned on, your collision turned on, your engine damage turned on, which I generally do. I generally have the realism set to the max most of the time. And if you have those qualifiers turned on in the simulator and something happens and you don't have that insurance, you're not only is your flight screwed over, you actually screwed yourself by now your airplane is now considered destroyed, and then now it will give you a fresh new sky lane. So let's say that you're flying, let's say you're flying the Bonanza or the Beechcraft Baron 58. You worked your way up to the Baron 58, and then all of a sudden you had those scenarios happen. Now, and it reports you to crash, and you didn't have insurance. Now you got to start all over again, back in a Cessna Skylane G1000, and you got to work your way all the way back up. Now, if you had a boatload of money already in your bank account, you're not going to take that big of a hit. You just buy your other airplane and you continue where you left off. But that's kind of stupid. You're working to build your revenue up, so what you do is you take out the insurance. All those that insurance protects you from all those scenarios that I just described as an example, and there's more. And there's tons of other scenarios that can cause you to lose your airplane with your damage on and everything. Now, granted, you could turn off your damage and everything else. But if your airplane is upside down, let's say that you hit that bump in the road and end up flipping your airplane. Now your airplane is flipped over. You can't complete the job or whatever scenario. So then now you've got another drama you have to deal with. So that's why and with those examples, that's why you just take out the insurance and all that drama goes away. Yes, it's a cost, but the cost is just you have that cost. It's just a cost of doing business. That's just the way it is. It's a cost of doing business, and you just have to have that mindset that way. So to continue on with this, it tells you how many passengers you have, your maximum payload, your maximum range. Over here, you can say if I mouse over it, it says I'm at 100%, and I'm 100% because I've already fixed it. Now, this is a pro tip that I personally do. You don't have to do this. You can live on the edge and do whatever you want. But what I do is at the end of every job, I repair my hull and I repair my engine. Every time, and it doesn't automatically do a complete overhaul. All it does is it'll give you, like, you had to replace your spark plugs, or you had to replace your magnetos, or your fuel filter went bad. Your air cleaner went out, and you went through a dirt storm, and now your air cleaner is all dirty. I mean, you can make up all these scenarios. The reason why you're getting these dollar values at the end of every job that you have these costs. So you landed a little bit too hard, so now there's a cost to repair your hull because you landed too hard. You can make up whatever you want. It'd be kind of cool if NeoFly can actually put in, okay, it's going to cost me $500 for a hull repair. It'd be kind of nice for them to say, okay, well, this is the reason. This is the reason why we had to make the repairs. Somebody come up with some kind of scenarios of this is the reason why. Just to add that immersion factor to NeoFly. That would be kind of cool to have something like that. You'd mouse over this, and then when you would do your repair, it would pop up with a receipt saying, okay, your repair was $400. Here's the tax, and your magneto number 5 was bad, or magneto number 1 was bad, or magneto number 1 was bad, along with you needed a new air filter, or your annual was due. You could have that scenario that, this airplane has annuals, and so you could have it set up where you can have annuals where your hull has to be repaired, and you'd have your annuals, and that's just a cost. That gives you more a version of, like, okay, the reason why you're flying all these flights is there's consequences for flying these flights. You get money, but then you have all these consequences where you have annuals, you have seat repairs, you have avionics repairs, you have randomly generated that the GPS is working 80% of the time, or something like that. I don't know. You can make all these things up, and you would have all those, and you can associate that with the hull, or you can actually create another column and have it be interior repairs, exterior repairs, or whatever. Just leave it all under one with hull repairs. You could make that up, but just have those explanations on why the hull repair. So that would be something that I would like to add. But the short term, the here and the now, the way it is as of this recording, it's just a magical number that's randomly generated every time you fly a flight. I repair it, and then I just move on. So then that way I always have a repaired engine and a repaired hull aircraft on every flight. It's just another cost of doing business is how my mindset is on that. Fuel wise, you can set up your fuel anywhere you want. Let's say that now I don't know if you can defuel. I think you can only add fuel. I don't think this gives you the option to defuel. Defuel, like you do in FS economy, is let's say that you got a real short flight. You had the previous flight, you over calculated your fuel, and you got too much fuel, and you want less fuel because you want to carry more weight. So then you defuel to be able to carry the weight for that particular mission. I don't know if this has, well, it does say buy and remove fuel, so I guess it does have the defuel capability. I'm sitting there explaining it to you, and it says right there, buy and remove fuel. So yes, it does have the defuel capability. So defueling, you just set the fuel where you want, so that way it accommodates the job that you're going to pick. So that's what that's all about, which is cool. That's very good. And then it just gives you your maximum fuel of what you can carry, what your current fuel loadout is. And like I said before, this is your airframe hours, how many hours you have on your airframe. I don't know what the consequences are. I guess the higher the number, the fuel or the hull cost is going to go up more, and repairs are going to go up more because the airplane comes older. Now maybe there is a component that I'm not aware of, that once your airframe gets 1900 and it's time for overhaul, your TBO comes into play with your airplane. When you get to 1500, depending on what airplane it is, maybe that's that equation or that formula is not incorporated into NeoFly yet, but that would be another thing, another cost. See, the problem with other programs or other economy modules, and I call NeoFly an economy module. The reason why the other ones, you can make all kinds of money and just go up and up and up. Your bank account just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, but you don't have all these costs to bring that thing back down. The consequences, you just keep on building, building, building. So by having the TBO, by having the airports, which there is a component in here right now, currently a component when you fly to an airport, that airport does have a cost of an airport fee. Now here in the States, you don't have airport fees, or at least associated with the government anyway. Whereas in other countries, the government takes a piece of the action with airport fees. Here in the United States, not California, but in the United States, I guess you could say the airport fee is explained away because you're paying for the airport crew to show up and the marshalers to marshal you in, to pay for fuel. That guy that's actually loading the fuel. Now that would be as if you're doing full service. If I'm doing self-serve, I shouldn't be penalized. Serving getting my own fuel. Right now I'm not penalized because the fuel, doing the fuel is just the cost of what your fuel is over here. That's all you're getting dinged for is your fuel cost, not from let's see, verify that real quick. Yeah, see, I added fuel, $183 worth, but I think that's strictly just the fuel itself, and not the person to fill it up for you if you want full serve. But you could set it up. NeoFly could set up for, do you want full service or do you want self-serve? And then the prices would be affected accordingly, or that would be taken out of the cost of the airport fee. Because right now, everywhere you fly, you do have airport fees. Matter of fact, you go over here to the finances, you'll see somewhere here, I remember seeing it. Yeah, airport fees, $103 for me to land at that airport over here in wherever it is now. I can't find it now. Oh, here it is. Sierra Army Air Depot. Of course, it doesn't have a job right there, but if it did, that airport fee was $103. So they could explain that away. That's the cost for the marshalers. You could make that argument. So airport fees, it's kind of annoyance, but it's not that big of a deal. I'm not really tripping on that at all. So everything is good there. All right. Well, anyway, to finish back over here, to finish up, we got status where your airplane is right now, and of course the location of where it is, and then of course we already know what the airplane is, and now the tail number. What's interesting about the tail number is you can put in whatever tail number you want. And what I could see a real good potential with NeoFly is you can attach that tail number. Maybe have the tail number, you put in what you want, and then lock it bound to that airplane. So then that way, if anything that is done with that airplane, as far as where it went, how much, how many miles was put on it, nautical miles was put on it, how much fuel was consumed. Basically, you could have a whole thing set up associated with that tail number and that airplane of what the performance of that airplane is, so you'll know based on your flying habits on if that airplane is worth keeping or not, or delegate it to that tail number to a staff, to another flyer, an NPC flyer, and then you can actually see the performance of what that NPC is doing. So having that tail number right there is really good, because you can take that tail number, bind it to a staff member, a crew member over here, which we'll get into here in a second, and then whenever that crew member flies, that tail number, basically a database is generated. So then that way we know the performance of that individual employee and that airplane, to determine if that employee is fulfilling, is doing their job, and is making us money, and if the airplane is giving us the performance we need. You can get down to a granular level because of this tail number, and we know, as you see, the performance of the airplane is getting more and more fixes, is because the airplane is getting older and older and older, and where that breakaway point is, where it's time to replace that airplane with another one, and just because it's becoming upside down versus the maintenance versus the money generated with the airplane. And you can tie all that into the tail number as an example. Now you could probably tie it into other factors, but I'm just using the tail number as an example. But I'm sure the current initial use of the tail number is just a fun thing for you to be able to put in your own tail number in here, and that's about it. But the potential of associating other things in NeoFly with this tail number would be awesome, and being able to give it whatever the number you want. So that's what the tail number is, and that's cool. So that's very, very good. Now, staff time. Here we go in staff. Well, let's talk about me, or talk about me, not me, you. It's the it's you. Well, it's you. Basically, it's you. It's basically stats on you. You Sierra Flyer. I can change my name anytime I want to something else. It tells me what my rank is, what my next rank is. We don't have an ability here to say what benefits you get, like when you get to 1,000. Okay, I'm at 1,000 now. What am I going to get for my next 1,000? That might be in the guide, into the PDF guide that comes with NeoFly. That may give you the information. You don't have it here in the application itself, but I think it's in it's in the guide. Okay, well, did a little digging in the in the PDF, the guide, and this is the ranks. It's the cadet, second officer, first officer, or officer, captain, and then senior captain. Unfortunately, they don't have any numerical values associated with each one of these are, so I can't tell you. It just tells you what missions become available once you get to these points. And I was sitting there skimming through the the guide, and either I missed it or it's not available. So, but like I said, rank 1,000 is a milestone, and then it goes up from there. I don't know what all the ranks are, so I could not tell you. I've never gotten to. I don't think I've ever got to senior captain anyway with NeoFly before I restarted or had an issue, and or whatever the scenario may be. So. But those are the ranks, and the ranks is what gives you the better missions, which I just showed right here. Second officer, you get sensitive cargo. Officer, you get a VIP and search and rescue, and that's the one I really like. Again, the search and rescues are really awesome. And then of course the captain, commercial, humanitarian, whatever. See, all those missions will come available to you when you get up to those ranks. I just don't know what the numerical value rank is. Well, that's just unfortunate. If I mouse over let's see, get back in here. Let's see if I can mouse over. Give me something. No, let me mouse over here. So no, it doesn't tell me what it is. So it's a mystery. So I don't know. But anyway, as far as the pilot, you as the individual, you get your achievements, which is good. I like achievements. More achievements, the better. Gives you another reason why to fly. Like this one right here, you saw that it was 500 hours. You get this achievement. All it is just a ribbon. Not a big deal. You don't get anything for it other than just a ribbon. You don't get too much accolades other than a ribbon. And you got your status, of what your current status is, of how many, of what you see right here, of all of the different total cargo and yada 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 and all this other stuff. How much money's made and that sort of thing. your licenses, your qualifications on multi-engine, single engine, all this other stuff is all right here for you, self-explanatory, and of course how much money you got in the bank and a synopsis and where you're currently at. Crew-wise, crew is where things get interesting. If you want to be a micro manager, this is where I will say that NeoFly is very flexible. Its flexibility is quite good. Having the flexibility to be able to go anywhere or do a lot of things, not go anywhere, but do a lot of different things to keep your interest up in flying in NeoFly. And this is one of the strengths of NeoFly. So one of the strengths is having your own pilots fly for you. I have not done this a whole lot, so I can't speak too much on it other than you have an airplane, you assign it to a pilot, and then you assign a job to the pilot. Here in the mission thing, you can, like this job here. Let's say that I have an airplane here in Reno Airport. This is going to kind of bleed over into the missions tab, but in order for me to explain the staff, I have to do it. Instead of me flying this job right here, I can right click on this and then I can choose a pilot, choose the airplane, or rent an airplane, and then choose a pilot that is already here at this here in Reno. Now I could do that and then rock and roll. So I would I'd find a staff member, and it looks like this staff member is here in Reno, I assume. I can right click on him and say hire pilot, and then I can take the airplane that's already here, right click and say, hey, the pilot face will pop up right here, and I just say click on this one and say go to work, and then he goes and he flies the job. But here is the downside to this, is that you have to micromanage all of your staff. You can't just give this guy an airplane, give this guy and hire this guy, give this guy an airplane and say, go fly. I don't want to micromanage you. You can fly multi-engine, you can fly single engine. Just go. You don't have that ability to do that. You have to actually, from my understanding, is that you got to micromanage. So once he gets to the destination of this job, as an example, now you got to go to that area, find another job, and then send him on to the next job, and you can't stack jobs either. You just can't say, hey, you're going to this job right here, so then you go to the other airport that he's going to, which is Trekkie, as an example, and then you go to Trekkie and say, okay, I want this guy to do this job, and just have a list of jobs that this guy is going to do, and that would be So in effect, you would just say you go here, 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 and here, and then you just set him off. You don't have that ability. You got to micromanage it every step of the way. That for me personally is a turnoff. Now, if you have the ability, like I said a minute ago, where you hire this pilot, you put him into an airplane, and you click on the check mark that says, okay, go do your thing, go to work. And then he just goes off and flies, and then you don't have to think about him ever again. He's a passive income generator. So let's say that the airplane needs fuel, needs to be repaired or whatever. Check the little check boxes to say, hey, he can repair the airplane, or he can, send it, that FBO, send it to the airplane to repair, and then have him refuel the airplane, that sort of thing. Have that ability where that pilot could do that, so you as the job boss don't have to micromanage it unless you want to. If you want to macro manage everybody, then that's cool. That's no problem. But for me, no, I don't want to deal with that. That's just too much. That becomes too much like work. And I'm here to have fun. I'm here to fly, which is my main fun, but then have these other things off to the side that's fun, and it gets too much like work. And it gives me a quick little story about EVE Online. EVE Online is an awesome multiplayer online game. There's only two problems with that game. One is the PvP element. No matter what they say, you can be messed with by anybody at any point, and there is no consequences if you know how to game the system. And people do know how to game the system, and so the PvP aspect of it, of EVE Online, even if you're just a miner and you're out mining, you want to be left alone, you can still get messed with and lose everything. So forget it. Another thing about EVE Online is that you have to micromanage every little facet of it. That's why it's called Spreadsheets Online. You get so into the weeds where you're trying to mid-max as much as possible, make as much money as possible, because it's you against the world, literally, in that game. And it just becomes a job. You end up buying 4 or 5 accounts at $14.95 a month, and you have your own mining op with multiple computers and multiple screens. I mean, it gets crazy. It gets nuts. You just can't just go out and fly a little bit and everything and give them $14.95 unless that's all you want to do. It's where your comfort level is, or where you're most content at in that game. So to circle back to right here, or to reflect on here, having these guys and having to micromanage every single individual guy or gal, that becomes that just becomes a job. And that's kind of one of the turnoff things for me with that other program. Doggone, I'm having a brain fart. What you call the damn thing? I'm stalling here because I'm trying to bring it up. It was called Air Hauler 2. Air Hauler 2, you have to micromanage your pilots that you hire. The last time I played or I simmed in Air Hauler 2 was you had to actually macromanage all of your pilots and keep them busy. You just don't give them an airplane and they just go. You got to micromanage them, and so that kind of turned me off. And so that's why most of the time, for me personally, again, I'm speaking from myself. That's why I just I just fly solo, and that's it, or fly and not have any employees or anything like that, because I just don't want to deal with the micromanagement. I just don't want to deal with it. So this is cool and all, the staff is cool and all, but if you want to macromanage, then it's going to be coming Spreadsheets Online, and it's just not worth it. Not worth your time, unless that's something you really get geeked out on, and that's what you like to do. Then of course, to each his own. So, and I see that my audio is too high, and I apologize for that. So let me adjust that where it's not as high. There we go. So that means I'll probably have to turn it down in post. Anyway, so that's pretty much the the staff, the crew, and stuff. They're cool and all, but again, you start getting into micromanaging, whatever how you want to say it, and I just don't want to deal with it. So I don't have very much input on that. We'll touch on trading right now. Trading itself, you basically, all you do is you put in an airport, let's say KWJF, my home base, and it's gonna ping all the items, all the goods that are available at KWJF right now. And so KWJF is actually buying, the market is actually buying fuel, is buying flowers, and is buying whiskey. Hey, cool, it's buying whiskey. And it looks like they want to buy 1,600, I'm assuming pounds or units, either units or pounds. I don't know which one it is. I'd have to read up on it. It could be pounds or units. I don't know which one it is. And what you could do is you can, well, let me say this. What I use the trading function for is, let's say that I fly all my flights in the missions and I get to where I want to go, and at the end of the day I just want to go home. So I've been flying all day. It's Saturday. It's Saturday, like it is. Well, today's Sunday. Well, let's say that I started out on Saturday, and at 6 o'clock in the morning in real time, and I said, you know what? I'm going to do I'm going to be in NeoFly. I'm going to grind my ass off. I'm going to have fun. So in the course of the day in real time, I sit there and I pick and I fly all these little flights to doot to doot to doot to doot to doot to doot. And at the end of the day, I'm done. But the last airport that I'm at, I can't get back home to my home airport in Lancaster because there is no jobs available to me. So what do? Well, you got two options. One, you can go deadhead or dead stick or deadhead or whatever, or fly naked. That's another term that's been used from time to time. I coined the phrase. Thank you very much. And you can fly home without generating any revenue at all. Or you can, if the airport that you're at happens to have items at that airport that is either fuel or flowers or whiskey, you can buy those at that airport, load up your airplane as long as you don't overload it or you don't buy what the market wants. The market wants 1,600 pounds or 1,600 units of whiskey. I would buy the whiskey as an example, buy it up over there, and then I could just plan my route, fly home, and then offload it and then get money, passive money, for flying back home. That's what I use this trading thing for. Now, you don't have to. You can just flat out not even do any of these missions at all. Just start out at KWJF or at your home base of choice or your home airport of choice, wherever your airplane is, and you can just start trading along and make money that way and not even touch these missions at all. You could do that. Again, flexibility. This is what NeoFly has. It has flexibility to do all those different things, which is really, really cool. So that's what the trading is in a nutshell without getting too deep into it. That's what it is. Now, if you have a scenario where even if you can't, there's going to be scenarios where at the last job you're at doesn't have the goods to be able to fly back home with. That's where you do two things. One, you would pick jobs over here that you'd be ahead of the airplane on the front end and know where you're going to go and where you're going to end up, and make sure that you're going to have it where you'll be able to make this option happen. Or you would just flat out just end up flying deadhead or dead stick or naked back home and not make any money at all, and that's just the way it is. So those are the two things in that scenario that would happen. And I'm sure somebody in the comments down below will probably tell me, Dion, there's other options available, and that's cool. That again, flexibility, the word of the day for NeoFly, flexibility. So that's trading in a nutshell without going too deep into it. You got your fly to market. You can actually click on, let's say here's KWJF right here. We've already got the economy right here, but let's say I want to check out Tehachapi. I can mouse click over here and here. Oh, that's 94 here. We don't want 94. We want the right one. So we can go over here and preview market, and then here's the market right here. Okay, see are they selling any fuel? Are they selling any what was the other thing? Flowers. Okay, see, they're not selling any flowers, and they're buying whiskey as well. They're not selling it, they're buying it. So both airports, KWJF and Tehachapi, are buying whiskey. So that wouldn't be a place to go. So let's get permission to fly into the restricted airspace at Edwards Air Force Base. So what have they got for us? What they got for us is they're selling. Okay, now they're selling fuel. So I can actually buy the fuel and then fly it to KWJF if that was my last job of the day, and then make a little scratch and get paid for my flight. Or I can go the other way. Let's say that I'm leaving KWJF and I want to end at Edwards Air Force Base. I can look down the list here and see KWJF is selling parts. Are they buying parts? No, they're buying. See, when I look at this, it says coffee. It's the wrong kind of plant, so never mind. So they're buying coffee. So if I sell coffee here, and they don't sell coffee here, but they sell meat. Yeah, KWJF sells meat, and they are buying meat. So they're buying it for $23, and they're buying it, and I'm buying it for $18, and I'm selling it for $23. So I would make, the small pittance amount of money, but I'd be making money off of it. And because of the weight factor involved, you can have a little bit more. You can have more of these to offset because of the amount of weight that it is. And I think it might be weight based and not unit based. But you get the idea. So that's what you do with the market trading thing. If that's your thing, again, flexibility. That's available to you, having the trading tab to be able to trade your little heart's content, or use it at the end of the day to be able to get back home, and that sort of thing. So now the granddaddy and the most important one out of all of NeoFly is the missions, the job board. The job board has changed up quite a bit since I did the last video on NeoFly. You got a lot of things here that have changed, so we'll go ahead and get into it. So right now we are in Reno. That's where we're at. You can see the pilot's position is at Reno. And here is the market for Reno, the job board available in Reno, and then the airplanes that are available in Reno. If you don't want to be in Reno and you just want to GTFO and get the you-know-what out of here, you can go in here and pay to move, or take whatever airplane you have already at Reno and move to wherever you want to. Let's say that I want to go to KTVL and I want to start my day at KTVL. I can pay to move over there, which is going to bring up a dollar amount, which is $350, and that's going to move you on over there. So let's go ahead and do that for this demonstration purposes. I got the money to afford to do it. We're not going that far, so let's go ahead and make that happen. We're going to move our body, which is what this is, to KTVL. All right, so here we are. Here's Sparks, Nevada. So here's Reno. So, and actually, you can mouse over it and it shows you right there in the icon. There is where your Cessna Skyhawk is currently at. But I happen to know that I am currently over here as well because it says the pilot's position is right here. Let's say I want to move to KTVL, which is right over here. So I'm going to go ahead and pay to move, or I can fly. I can fly. If I hit fly, it's going to automatically take me over here to the fly. I'll be flying dead stick or deadhead over to here, and it might give me an event saying, hey, you're flying naked. If you want, we got this event for you, and it can, because I paid for the events thing, it can actually send me over to another spot, which in turn generate revenue for this deadhead flight that I was about ready to embark. Well, because I have the events thing that I paid for, that gives me that flexibility, that option, that scenario could happen. But let's say it doesn't. Let's say it doesn't happen. I'll just, for this demonstration, let's say that we just want to move from Reno over here to South Lake Tahoe. I'll just go over here, pay for it. It's going to cost me $350. It's simulating that I'm moving over here. So now I've moved over here, and now I am over here. Now Sierra Flyer, which is me. So my body's physically sitting over here in Tahoe right now. Now, if I want to get my airplane over here, now I need to go over here to the hangar, and I click on the hangar right here, and I think right here I can right click on this bar and say, okay, I want you to see, there's a stop and stop insurance thing. I know that's a squirrel. We were talking about insurance earlier. That's what that is. That's where you buy and you sell your insurance. Okay, bring pilot to location. So I click on it. Now it's going to cost me $350. So now I'm going to move it. Now what I have done is the aircraft is now at KTVL. So now it just cost me $700 to move without flying it myself, which is really stupid, to be honest with you. It just cost me $700 because I didn't want to personally fly it. It cost me $700 to move from, and this is only, I don't know, 300 or 100 miles or 30 miles or 40 miles. So that cost me money to be able to move myself and the airplane over to South Lake Tahoe. But now I can start in South Lake Tahoe. Now everything is going to be in South Lake Tahoe, which I got to put it in. KTVL, South Lake Tahoe, and now it's going to bring up the market here in South Lake Tahoe. And boom, there it is. So now the market is in here. So now I'm all set and ready to go. Now I can start my day. Let's say I started my day here in South Lake Tahoe, and then this is my starting point to go, provide services to the world. And that's pretty much what this transmitting transit mission is all about. Is it just moves your body to? They probably need to be more specific in here. Well, it says set pilot's position, so I guess you can make the argument saying, well, Dion, I kind of tell you what it says. It says it's setting the pilot to this position. So that's saying this the pilot's position, and now you got to set your airplane over there by clicking over here and moving and this is bring to pilot. So so let's say it's doing exactly what it says. It's bringing the airplane to the pilot. So you basically hired some yahoo to fly your airplane for you over to here. That's essentially is what you have done. So that's what this operation does right here, and that's what that operation did over there. So now that we're over here, now down here in this section right here, we've got all kinds of things we can do. We can bring operations from, I want to see in here, all these basically is just details and what you want to display on your job board. This thing right here needs to be called job board was what I would call it. I call it the job board. You can sort all these things on different scenarios, with how much time you got left, how much XP you're going to get, what your pay scale is. That's what I do. I do descending order, I guess it is, how much money I'm going to make, and then everything else falls in after it. Or you can set your distance on the furthest one to the closest one, or you can do your heading. Now the heading thing is a new one that came in version 1.3 or 0.13. And the heading thing is real handy because you can plan your day at the end of the flight. At your day's end of the flight, you're like going back to what we talked about at the start or a few minutes ago, and that was you're doing all these flights, and at the end of the day, if I want to fly a flight that goes back home, I have the arrow and the heading of like, okay, I'm going to look over here, and I'm over here, and I want to get back down to LA. Well, what's my heading back down there? Oh, based on based on experience, my heading is probably going to be at 150 to 17, maybe 175, 160 to 1750 is going to be my heading from here. If you're, visualizing a compass right here in your head, you're maybe 175, 170 along in there somewhere, because 180 is directly straight down, and you go over. So maybe 150 to 160. So for sake of argument. So then you go over here and you say, okay, fine, I'm going to search on a 160, 170 heading. Well, the closest one going to be available is going to be this one right here, and it's only 26 miles south of me. So that's not really going to help me. Here's a 112. That's not going to help me. But you get where I'm saying is, in this case, this is a bad example, but you understand where you can go with it. And also, too, let's say that you have that frame of mind. You want to get one to go home. Well, because of how far we're going, well, first off, let me backpedal here a little bit and say that right here these are your different tiers of how far you want to fly. And in my case, I'm going to want to go between 50 to 300 nautical miles. And now it's going to change the jobs to get back home. And right now, Edwards Air Force Base. And right here, we got one that's going to take us all the way to C2, which is in the middle of nowhere. What is this, Roseman? Is this Roseman? No, it's not Roseman. It's another little hole-in-the-wall airport. Because Roseman's right here. So it's actually, so in actuality, I got a job that's close to Palmdale, Lancaster, but not quite. So I could theoretically take this one, which is down here a ways. Go down, 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 and we'll say it's right along. And here, is this the one? Or is this the one? No, that's a little farther. But you get the idea. So I can double click on this one. And it should have gave me the right airport. CL2. CL2. Oh, there it is right there. There's the airport I was looking for. So the airport I'm looking, or the airplane, the one I'm looking for is right there. So there is my job that I can go from 300 whatever miles, carrying 500 pounds of cargo. Oops, I didn't click on it right, did I? This one. Here it is. So it's $32,000. So I can start heading down this way, and but I'm carrying 700 pounds of cargo. That's a lot of cargo to be carrying. So because I know what the weight is, I'm going to be going a long ways. I'm going to be having my fuel almost all the way full. This will lead me up to the next little thing here, is the maximum weight. Let's say that I don't want to carry over 350 pounds. I can put this qualifier in here. Now it's going to redo the flights to jobs that is only going to be 350 pounds, and that's it. So the only one to get me down in my neighborhood is going to be this little hole-in-the-wall airport over here. And if I click on this one, which is for some reason it doesn't click. It clicks on that, but it doesn't actually come up in here, which is kind of weird. What was it? 90? Is it the same one? Yeah, 902. So it's this one right here. So it's this job right here. Carry underneath a 400 pounds. So you can see the level. I mean, you can do the maximum passengers, the maximum distance. Now the maximum, so let me get rid of this and go back to that. Let's say I want to use the maximum distance instead. Now what I want to do is I want to go over here to all. I have to turn this to all. So you can see right now all, I mean, I got a job here that goes into FTR, wherever the hell that is. I have no idea. Oh, that's in Africa. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to fly from Lancaster, California, or some there all the way to Africa. Yeah, I'll get right on that. No, that ain't going to happen. I mean, you're going to be making $889,000. So that'd be a hell of a trip, but I ain't going to do it. So what you do is you go to all, and then if you say that I want to be 250 nautical miles instead of the preset ones that are right here, and you click on that, and then it's going to specify. Okay, and that's what it does. That's all it does. Just specifies. This becomes available to you, so you can specify where you're going to go. Now, let's say that. Well, I can't. Let's say I want to do a specific number of mileage I want to go to, and it would do that job. The only thing that I see that NeoLord can do better is actually have some way to put in. We'll go ahead and get rid of that as it's thinking. Put in ability to say your to and your from airport. For those of you that want to have instead of having the randomization like this is doing right now, which is going against the grain of what this whole program is about. This whole program is about flexibility, which is true, but it's also about randomization. That's what it started out doing. At least that's the impression I got from NeoFly, was a randomization. But let's say that you want to be hardcore and you want to fly to I want to fly to Salt Lake City, Utah. Okay, there is no option here to say, hey, I want to fly from KTVL to Salt Lake City, Utah. It's not available to me. Now you could theoretically do it by way of, let's say, putting 1,500 nautical miles. You could do it this way, I guess. Did I put in too much? And is that why it's giving me drama? Yeah. Oh no. Okay. So it took me all the way 1,500 nautical miles. It took me all the way to Texas. It actually took me to CWC. That's one of my. That's an airport that's really close to my family, where my family is. But anyway, that was kind of funny. But it does not. But it did not give me. It did not give me actual Salt Lake City, Utah. Now, in order for me to be able to get that scenario to work, is I would have to sit here and just hit reset and just spam over and over again until I see a job populate in the Salt Lake City area. See, that's kind of cumbersome and time consuming. But, maybe, time Neo Lord. I want to say Time Lord. I don't know why I'm thinking Time Lord. I'm not a Doctor Who fan, so but I know somebody who is. But let's say I want to go to Salt Lake City. Yeah, it got one close in the general area. Got one over here, but did not actually get me one, right there in that area. So, or let's say that here's another scenario for you. Let's say that if you put in the ability to say I want to fly from here and then populate jobs, jobs to make me money on that trek to get over there, then I can fly the first job over to this area, and then from there turn that off, and then have it populate from that area, because it'd be kind of cool to kind of shift your areas around. You kind of do it already anyway by doing this kind of method, but it would be kind of cool to be able to fly to one point, and of course again you can make the argument saying, well, Dion, then just go over here and then just move yourself over and your airplane over to that area. That's true, I could do it that way, but I would rather actually fly there and actually get paid to fly over there. And then somebody can make the argument and say, well, Dion, you got trading over here. You could sit there and find something over there and over here. Then you get paid to fly all the way over there via the trading. You could do that too. So that is an option. It'd just be convenient. Like I said, just be convenient to have your where you're at right now, and then put in, hey, I want to specifically go over there. Put it in, and then just go fly. It'd be nice. Didn't have to be, but it'd be kind of convenient because you could use the trading option to get what you want that way, maybe. But anyway, so those are the things that are available to you. Maximum distance. Actually, now that I see that it's 1,500 miles, and you can see how the 0 went down here, I guess Neo Lord needs to fix this where it'd be 4 digits instead of just the 3 digits. If you wanted to do it that way, you'd have to actually expand upon that. Let's see what else. Let's see. And then right here, over here on these guys right here, this is if you just want hard surfaces with no grass, just like it says, or if you want hard surfaces. I want hard surfaces. I wish they would add an ability, because you're actually with that other utility that we were talking about over here with airports, have the ability to actually say, hey, I want to fly to jobs that has 3,500 feet runways or greater, or lower, that sort of, you could probably have a thing right here that says, a text box saying 3,500, airport, and then greater than and less than, and check whatever you want, or whatever. You could have it do that way. If they would have that way, if you have an airplane that is, requires 3,500 foot runway, if you put that check in there, that way you always have a job board available to you that you're going to be able to land your airplane at and take off at. That's the only reason why I would put the put the airport, specific airport runway identifier. So then that way that you'd always get airports. That way, also what it also does is it gets rid of jobs that send you to these hole-in-the-wall airports that you don't want to fly to. I put in a 50 nautical mile flight as an example. I'll just get rid of it, and I'll go back over here to 50. And then I go over here and I say 50. And then I put in over here 3,500 feet runway or greater. Then what that would do is that would repopulate these jobs, saying that, okay, I'm going to give you 20 jobs, 30 jobs, whatever the magic number is here, that are related to the search criteria of 3,500 feet or 5,000 or whatever greater. And what that does, that just makes it so you ensure yourself that you're going to land at an airport that you don't have to worry about it being too short or too long that you can't take off from or land to. That kind of thing. That would be helpful. That would be a nice, wonderful addition to put right here, is the runway length greater than or less than check boxes. That would be good. Let's see, what else? What else? And then we talked about before the heading bug, having the heading bug where it is, that makes things a lot easier. That's something new that's just been introduced, which is nice. And then ascending, descending order, which is always nice. Let's see what else on this page. The aircraft, buying aircraft. One thing I would like to see, this is kind of self-explanatory over here at KTVL. These are what the airplanes that are available. You can sort them on what's available. I don't know how, but there is a lot of times where if you're in a little bitty airport, you'll see that there is in the airports, you'll see that there's a 747 there. And it's like, dude, you can't take off at a 1,200 foot airport a 747. That's just not going to happen. So I don't know how to fix that bug, but that bug does exist in NeoFly that needs to be, I call it a bug. And one of the back way at the start of the video, we were talking about what airplanes that are available to you when you start a fresh account or a fresh one. The X-Cub was the one that was, and I had a brain fart at the time. I forgot what you called it, but it was the X-Cub that you start as one of the airplanes you start out with. That's there's your costs. Maybe it's the one thing that I wish that NeoFly could do is either have another tab or have an ability to say, hey, I have $288,000. I want my turbo bonanza. Show me all the airports where that turbo bonanza is. And right now you don't have that ability to do that. What you have to do is you have to constantly spam airports in an area. Like, let's say, okay, I'm going to do KBUR, Burbank. Okay, I'll arbitrarily pick Burbank. Now it's got to load Burbank up, and then now I got to see once Burbank gets loaded up here. Try it again. Come on, Burbank, please load up for me. Really, really slow. Okay, so now Burbank's loaded up, and there is no G36 turbo here. So the turbo bonanza is not here. And of course, another side note here. Once we find it, what's funny is the Bonanza G36, which is not the turbo, it's a standard one that I don't have. That's $650,000. But the turbo bonanza, let's go to KTVL. Oh no, let's go to KTSP. Oops, I did that backwards, didn't I? SP. SP. There we go. If I can type, damn it. Okay, let's go to KTSP. So now it's thinking, and it does not have one. Okay, so then let's go to KBIH. It does not have one. Well, you see where I'm getting with this here is I want to fly that airplane. I want to buy that airplane, but I have no way of finding out where it is unless I just arbitrarily put into the marketplace or right click on here and then airport and then go to market preview, which is the wrong button. So let's try that again. Go to the market preview and then search market. And there is, I don't want to fly to this market. See, it doesn't even bring it up. So how about this one? Search market. See, it's just giving me the market of the trading market, not the market for the for the airplanes. So I will find it eventually, but this is illustrating my point is that it's very difficult to find the airplane that you want to fly, that you want to buy without going through these hoops. To make a long story short, the G36 turbo, the one that I actually put in via here, ends up being only $150,000 to $200,000, and it's a faster airplane than the turbo version is a faster airplane than the regular Bonanza. So obviously, the way NeoFly is right now, I can't illustrate it to you because I can't seem to find the airplane. But the way it is right now is you're better off just holding off, getting $150,000 to $200,000 and flying the Cessna 172 or the other airplanes that are available, and then make that next step of your airplane into the turbo that you downloaded, that third-party turbo that you downloaded and put into the system. You're better off just buying that one than you are buying the G36 out of the box one, because it's going to cost you more and you don't get as much performance out of it. So putting in your own airplanes is really beneficial. Now the flip side of that argument is I actually put in the kit fox, because I did buy the kit fox, which is a mistake, but that's neither here or there. That's a video on itself. But if I put in the kit fox is actually more expensive than other airplanes that are less. That this airplane is more expensive than other airplanes, that you get more value for your money with other airplanes than you do with the kit fox. It's just the way the algorithm is set up. But the turbo is really awesome, and so I highly recommend you download and install it if you want to fly that low wing Beechcraft Bonanza turbo. So that's the problem with that, is that there's got to be a way where we can take care of the airport, to sum up on this page, to take care of the airport distance issue, landing distance and takeoff distance issue, just saying, hey, I want a 3,500 foot runway and greater, and then of course finding an available aircraft. If you have to create your own tab to do that, then so be it. Maybe in the hangar you have a tab where it says, search the market, which turn tells me right where tells me the market of it goes right back to trading, and we're not dealing with trading, we're dealing with trying to find a market for airplanes, where they're at. There needs to be some kind of something to be able to put that in there and do that. That's what I recommend. So I'm trying to think of anything else here without us actually doing a flight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a flight, and then once the flight is done, I will come back, and then we will go through the operation of once a flight is complete. We'll take a job, do the flight, and then we'll land somewhere, and then in that video or in that section we'll be we'll be in there, because this video, I'm probably going to have to break up this video into multiple tracks, because this is crazy. I mean, I'm up to 50 minutes now. So that's the plan at this point. We'll do another video, we'll do another flight, and then we'll do the flight, and we'll do the landing, and then after we do the landing, then all the procedures you do with NeoFly after you've landed the airplane, and how it all works and how it does what it does. So on that note, I'll go ahead and conclude this video for the next video. So I'll catch you guys. Definitely like, subscribe, and if you feel my content is worthy, do have some donation links in the description down below. Definitely go check out NeoFly if you like it. Definitely, I do. I think it's great. Definitely enjoy it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one where we actually do a flight and do NeoFly in action, as far as picking a job, flying it, and then landing. So I'll catch you guys on that next video. Bye. Alrighty, we are back, and now that we've got the airplane all loaded up here we got Microsoft Flight Simulator all ready to go. We're in our fancy dancy, handy dandy Cessna 206, even though it really is a Cessna 172 that's overpowered. So we'll call it the Cessna 206. What do you think? Anyway, so we're going to start here in KTVL, and it looks like runway 18 is where we're going to take off at, even though I see an NPC. Actually, that's actually a person aboard. I wonder why he's taking off at runway. That's interesting. That's really weird. So Microsoft's doing its thing. Runway 18 is supposed to be our takeoff point, and why that person is taking off down there, I don't know, but whatever. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and get set up here and ready to go, and go ahead and click on this. 17 is a good spot. That's our departure. So that's going to be our departure spot, because we're starting out cold and dark. I always start my airplanes cold and dark. I like cold and dark. And then our destination is where it gets crazy. When you look over here to NeoFly right here, you'll see that our destination is going to be, or our drop zone is going to be 39.65 by 120.06. So we got to take that numerical decimal numbers and we got to get it into Microsoft Flight Simulator. So in order for us to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to go back in here like this, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go into search. And search, what we're going to do is we're going to go north 39.69 and west, not east, west 120.06, and then it converts it to hours, minutes, and seconds, point seconds. Now I don't know how accurate that is, but as long as we get in the neighborhood, we're good to go. So that's a custom destination. So we click on it, it's going to send us over there. Then we're going to set arrival, and so that is going to be, and we're going to do a direct. I don't think we have to worry about, so let me go ahead and plug this in right here right quick. And I don't think we have to worry about too much in the way of airspaces to worry about, so we're not going to worry about that. It's 48 nautical miles. It says in NeoFly 48 nautical miles, so we are accurate there. So I think we are good to go. We can go ahead and fly this bad boy, make sure that everything is set here like it's supposed to, and then I'm going to load up the sim and we'll get inside the cockpit. So here we go. Alrighty, now we are set and ready to go here at KTVL, and look at this, it's nothing but snow. We have to deal with snow. That's going to make things interesting. That'll make this search and rescue or just drop zone mission interesting. So very good. Very, very good. Always like a challenge. Alright, so without further ado, let's get set up here and ready to go here. And what we need to do is now we need to go back over here and look and see. Right here we can see that we have our mission weight is 190 pounds is what our mission weight is, which means we take 170 plus 190, which is 260 pounds, right? Did I do my math right on the fly like that? So 275 pounds, and in order for our payload light to turn green, I've got to put that in there. So what we're going to do is before we even hit connect, we'll go back in here into Microsoft Flight Simulator, go to our weight. Our fuel economy, our fuel is going to be 375 pounds. So let's just go ahead and ratchet that up, and you can see right here 378. So we're in the neighborhood, so that's good enough, 70%. And then we'll go over here to 70% here. That might be too much. We'll see here in a second. That's 602. Oh yeah, we were at what? We were at 260. 260 pounds, I think is what it said. So let's go to 30%. Nope, gotta go 32%. 32%. Close enough. That's close enough. We're in the neighborhood. We're not overloaded on our airplane. This is one thing that I wish NeoFly would do, and that is as soon as you hit the connect button over here, let me go ahead and close this out because we're done here. So now I got the proper weight. I had to manually put in the proper weight and the proper fuel. This is what I wish that NeoFly would do, is that as soon as you hit the connect button, it would automatically put the fuel load out of 375 and the cargo weight plus the 170 pounds for the pilot in there, so the combined weight into the airplane for you, so you don't have to do it. I know it's a creature comfort thing, I guess you could say, but it would be nice to do that. Microsoft Flight or FS Economy does it, so there's no reason why NeoFly couldn't do it. Because if NeoFly, or if they can do it, NeoFly should be able to do it too. So that's something that NeoLord needs to work on, is figure out a way to be able to. As soon as you click on the next or hit this button, then it's going to come in. So we'll go ahead and hit the button. And my payload is still off, so that means my calculations are not correct. Now, why is my calculations not correct? It should be 100. Oh, fine. 170, 170 is 240, plus another 20 is going to be 260. So that should have activated it. So I did something wrong, obviously. So I'll go ahead and I'll just increase it a little bit and see if it'll make it happy.
Emergency. A big fire needs backup from firefighters. 2 of them are on their way. Stand by.
2 of them are on their way. Please stand by. So they slipped me a Mickey. That's why it didn't load out. Because my math should have worked, but she just said 2 peeps. So that tells me that even though it says only 1 passenger, this wasn't a normal drop zone mission where it's a medevac or a medic one. This is a, as you said, a fire dropping off some firefighters. And that's why it ballooned into 400 and, well, in my case, 360 pounds, I guess is what she says. It is expected 360 pounds. So what I'm doing right now is I'm actually adjusting. So I got to go back over here into the sim, and now I got to adjust that 360 pounds. There's 361. There we go. So now we're set here, and then what we do now is now I've got to start. Go ahead and turn on my lights. Now to get the mission to actually kick off and get going, I'll parking brake and then put the parking brake back on. Sometimes that fixes it.
Hello, pilot.
There it is.
We are ready. Bring us to this damn fire.
Okay, I'll bring you to that damn fire. Boy, I wasn't happy. All right, so we'll go ahead and start the engine.
All firemen on board. You can take off.
All right, so we're going to take off. Oh, clear pop.
Pause system test. Okay.
All right. Get rid of that damn irritating warning noise. All right, so we're set and ready to go here. I'll go ahead and put our altitude even though I don't have to worry about it. We'll put in 10,500 feet. We're probably going to, because it's such a short run, we'll probably just hand fly this thing all the way over there. Transponder, we'll go ahead and put it on. And we'll go ahead and turn all our rest of our switches on. Pitot heat, all that's on. All that's set and ready to go. Takeoff is set where it needs to be. That is set and ready to go. Fuel selector set. Oh, this doesn't have fuel selectors. We don't have to worry about that. Well, it does, but I mean, it's not needed. And then our altimeter setting. Wow, that's high altimeter. You hit the B key on your keyboard, and then it'll automatically set your altimeter setting for you. That's convenient. We'll go ahead and set our altitude. Altimeter setting to altitude, and we'll be good to go. Okay, so now we'll go over here. Tell the traffic. We're going to take off at runway 18, and we're going to taxi.
Tahoe traffic, Cessna November 531 Lima Mike is taxiing to runway 18.
Taxi lights on, everything is ready to go. Release parking brake. Get a little bit of power. Come around. We are set. Our frame rates are taking a little bit of a hit because of all the snow on the ground. Those snow textures, I think, are a little bit higher resolution textures than normal, and because of that, my frame rate is suffering a little bit, which is just fine. I don't care. I'm good with that. I want my eye candy. So we'll just kind of go down here, and then we'll take off. Expedite this thing. I would think that the snow blowers would clear the not only the runway but also the taxiways as well. So you have snow everywhere else, but not on the runway or the taxiways. Especially when you have clear skies out here, that means they probably would have had time for the snow blowers to come out and shovel the snow. Unless, of course, then they can make the argument saying, well, there's no snow. We have no snow blowers here. which would be, no, you'd have snow blowers. Snow does come in here quite a bit. Let's see if I can stop. I'm not really sliding anywhere, so I'm not really having any grip issues. Over here, the whole short line. And we'll tell ATC we're taking off. Maybe. Maybe we'll tell ATC we're taking off. Okay, here we go. Taking off for north departure.
Tahoe traffic, Cessna November 531 Lima Mike taking off runway 18 north departure.
I see an airplane way out there in the distance. I don't know if you guys can see it, but hopefully it won't be an issue. I don't see any airplanes on my screen. So let's just go ahead and go full power and let's go. Get a handle on our pitch trim here.
Fly safe, and good luck with the landing.
You're gonna need it. So here we go. We are on our way in the snow here in South Lake Tahoe, California, heading to this drop zone. Alrighty, we are getting close to our drop-off zone here, so I'm going to go ahead and start slowing down, lose some altitude, get my mixture back up, get my all my lights on, and we'll see what we got to work with. She hasn't said anything yet, but she will say that, hey, you're within 2 nautical miles, final place to land, is what she will say here in a second. Well, maybe a minute. I don't know. She's going to say, that's what she'll say. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go all the way idle.
Transporter form dispatch. You are less than 3 miles from the drop zone. Find a way to land.
See, I see a nice road looking thing right there. Because according to the map, let me jump over here real quick as we're descending. If you look at the map right here, here's where we are, and you see where it is. And I got to translate this location to in the sim. So, judging from what I'm seeing here, See, I can easily land on the road. That's no fun. It's actually on this, you know, where my mouse is turned off. But anyway, about in the center of my screen is kind of where it is. That looks like a, or not a river, but like a creek or something. Kind of like a creek right there. And they got all this flat land right here. So we'll just spin on around here. And just take a look at the land here, and then we'll land accordingly. Get my flaps out, and get ready to go slow. We're actually right. Well, actually, it's right over here. So let's do this. Let's land. That looks pretty smooth. See that green patch right there in front of us? We'll land just to the left, I guess. That green patch, I guess. Why not? Look at how the ground rose right there. And let's take it right here. Maybe not. I don't like that. That was bad. I didn't like that a bit. See, there's a dirt road right there. That's that green patch again. You can see the elevation difference right there. If I hit that, I would probably flip the plane. Come on, come on.
Thank you. Transporter form dispatched. You did it. Nice. Secure the plane with the parking brake.
And we'll just kind of zigzag around here a little bit. Lose speed. Didn't look like there's any rocks, so that's good. We made it. So now I gotta secure the plane. But they penalized me. Check this out. Check this out. They penalized me saying that I bounced it, which I did. There's no doubt about that. I bounced it. Let's see. PM comfort bonus loss. I bounced it at the location. Speed 95 miles an hour. Yeah, blah, blah. You're a bad guy. Okay, fine, whatever. So we'll just go ahead and hit the parking brake.
Fire command. We have landed. We are coming.
Transporter from dispatch. Good job, pilot. You saved a life today. Find a way to come back home.
And that's the end of it right there. So basically what happened is after you land, then you get a job done. So we go over here to log right here, and you can see the drop zone is done. We made 10,000 bucks. And then it gives you your overview. The drop zones are not as special, but if we would have had a, you know, if you the ones, the search and rescue ones are the ones that are awesome. I like those. But that is that. So that's where I made our little money there, and we are done. So very, very good. So now it says that find a way to get back home. All you really do now is now you just log out of NeoFly. You just close NeoFly and say sure, close NeoFly. And then if you open it back up, NeoFly does not remember your last position. So let me load it back up here. It'll take just a second. And see right now, see it still thinks the pilot in the airplane, it still thinks it's a KTVL, so I really don't have to do anything anymore. Now I just log out of the sim and just restart my next flight at KTVL, and I'm done. So there is no pathway like, okay, find a way to get back home, yada yada yada. That sounds nice, but in the sim it doesn't really matter. So you're just kind of set and ready to go. So, and of course now I got a phone call, so I got to take this phone call real quick. I'll be right back. That was my wife, my pretend wife telling me my pretend dinner. No, it was my real wife saying, you want anything at the store? Okay, well, anyway, so we are set and ready to go, and we made it here, and as you can see, we can just pick another job and then just go to the job, which we will do on another video at another time. So that's pretty much the overall synopsis of NeoFly, which is, like I say, is a really cool program. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend, like I said, the paying for the SARS, or not SARS missions, but the events more than anything, because the dynamics that it gives you and that sort of thing, it just makes your grinding that much more entertaining and fun. I pretty much done about as much of a deep dive as I can do. I could have done a little bit more on the FBOs, but I don't know anything about it, and I could have done more different types of missions, but again, I got to keep these videos within reason, of course. So guys, again, I appreciate you guys watching this. Definitely like, subscribe, and if you do have some donation links in the description down below, and you can see my airplane is in the grass, which I think that's a nice shot. Matter of fact, I probably need to take a picture of that. Somewhere like there. Maybe I go like that and take a picture of that. But anyway, we'll just go fly and we'll go do something. So I hope you enjoyed this NeoFly deep dive, because we pretty much call it a deep dive in NeoFly. And hope you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully this will help you in your decision if you want to do it. And if you do, hopefully these pointers that I gave you were helpful and that sort of thing. And hey, I'll catch you out there in the skies. So I'll catch you guys next time. Enjoy. Thanks again. Bye.